Bad Dog Sports tweeted out, I'll never understand why people are rooting for him to fail. And then he shows a picture of Shedeur Sanders in his number 12 Brown jerseys. And I think the inference is that anybody that's rooting for Shedeur Sanders to fail, to play poorly against the Raiders, to flame out as the Browns coach, the inference he's making is you're either racist, evil, or you're some type of Uncle Tom sellout. There's no reason for anybody to root against Shedeur Sanders. And this is a pervasive belief that Shedeur Sanders is unassailable. You can't criticize Shedeur Sanders. If you do, and if you're rooting for him to not have success, you're a bad person. It's just not true. It's just not true. And so I tweeted out, this is not difficult to understand. When you believe someone represents a negative influence on culture, you root against them. Same reason people root against Donald Trump, Joseph Biden, Barack Obama, George Bush. Then for non-political, people root for and against me, Jason Whitlock, based on their worldview. For some, Shedeur Sanders represents entitlement, false victimhood, radical materialism, racial idolatry. For others, Shedeur represents black empowerment, hip-hop culture, a thorn in the side of perceived white bigotry, etc. We all root for and against things. It's not remotely difficult to understand. So we're headed into this NFL weekend, football weekend, and there will be people that will take to social media, and if Shedeur Sanders plays poorly, they're going to tweet about it with glee. I'll be one of those people. And there will be people on social media that will infer, look at what a terrible person Jason Whitlock is. He's a coon. He's an Uncle Tom. How dare he root against Shedeur Sanders? And then if you're white, you'll be called a racist and blah, blah. And I'm listening to this and watching this play out, and this has been playing out for years. They're like, if you happen to root against someone that black leftists believe is their hero, you can't root against them or you're a bad person. And this goes against human nature. This goes against just common sense. It's like, do I want Shedeur Sanders to flop on Sunday? Absolutely. I'm not ashamed of that. I want him to flop because I think his success would send a horrible message to young kids that arrogance, radical materialism, bravado, entitlement, playing the victim is all a good thing. I don't want young people to think that, hey, I got to dress up like a rapper. I have to make rap songs. I have to buy big gold chains. That all of this is a positive. I have to talk in a way that makes me sound ghetto, even though I've never once seen the ghetto. I am Deion Sanders' son. I grew up in great wealth and great affluence. I'm actually privileged because my father was a multimillionaire and because my father had the availability to coach me all along the way. I root against Shedeur Sanders unapologetically because his success would send a bad statement about what it takes to be successful, not only in this world, but in sports, or not only in sports, but in the world. People do this all the time. People root against Donald Trump daily. He's the president of the United States, but they don't like the way Donald Trump operates, comports himself, talks, his arrogance, and so they root against him. And it's not because they're racist, It's because they don't like the way he carries himself. And he has a far more important job than Shedeur Sanders. He's actually been elected to represent all of us. And what he does has great consequence for all of us. But people are allowed to root against Donald Trump. People are allowed to root against me. I don't take offense to it. I understand that people disagree with my approach to sports media. I happen to think they're wrong. I tend to prioritize objectivity and fairness above racial idolatry and unfairness. But some people disagree and think that, hey, Whitlock's doing everything wrong and him being successful would send a terrible message. My skin is black. I've been black my entire life. I like my black skin. But I'm not black enough for certain people because I don't share their political worldview or non-biblical worldview. And so they root against me. And that's okay. And so it is okay for those of us that want to spend our weekend rooting against Shedeur Sanders. It's perfectly okay. It's appropriate. This is what sports fans have done for years. I was an Indiana Pacer fan. I rooted against Michael Jordan. When Michael Jordan retired, I quit rooting against him, and I started celebrating him and his success. But as long as he was playing for the Chicago Bulls and stood in the way of what I wanted to happen, Reggie Miller and the Indiana Pacers to win a championship, I rooted against Michael Jordan. And so as long as Shedeur Sanders stands in opposition to what I think is important in sports, humility, being a great teammate, carrying yourself and promoting things that would be uplifting and beneficial to young people, I'm going to root against Shedeur Sanders. If he decides to pivot, tones down his arrogance, tones down his radical materialism, then I'll jump on board with Shedeur. But you can catch me Sunday around 7 p.m. live on this network, on this channel, on this YouTube page. We'll be discussing what happens with Shedeur Sanders in the Browns-Raiders game. Come join me. I might be eating crow. I might have to take an L on Shedeur may play well, and I may have to say, hey, Shedeur played better than I thought. You will not hear me pivoting, though. Shedeur right now, in my view, from my worldview, he's not a force for good. He sends kids a bad message, sets a horrible example for them. He leads way too much with his wealth and his arrogance and his bravado. Don't miss a second of Fearless. Hit that like button and subscribe to keep up with our latest content.